And I will share my screen. So as I said, I have a process doc that will walk you through this process. I'm not going to be referring back to it while I'm showing you the demonstration, but there will be a link to the video of this video. I'm going to upload it to our training YouTube channel, and there will be a link to it at the bottom of the process document, so you can always refer back to this training. Okay, so the very first part of this is to be able to manage ASP accounts. You're going to need to have a special permission set called Manage ASP Accounts. I'm going to provision that for you today. So as soon as we're done with this training, I'm going to give it to you, and then you will see the things that I'm about to show you. Okay. If you add to your team, or if anybody else needs this at some point, that's your first step, is going to be get them the permission set for Manage ASP Accounts. Otherwise, they're not going to be able to see what I'm about to show you here. So from your app, which is ASP Management, once you have that permission set, you will see a list view of new ASP accounts, and that'll show you any of the accounts that you've created within the last 7 days. And you'll see this new component called the new ASP account entry flow. It's pretty simple. Basically, to get started, you're going to receive your ASP packet back from your prospect. Make sure that you have that packet back and that it's complete, and that you have sent it to accounting@servsolutions.net. Once you've submitted that, then you can put your account into Salesforce. If you put it in before you get that packet back, there's going to be problems in processing. It's going to be an accounting issue, and just need to make sure that that you're doing it in the right order, right? So make sure you get the packet first, and then you can add them to to Salesforce. So to add them to Salesforce, it's as simple as clicking on Enter the new ASP information. And the first thing you'll see in that form that shows up is that there is a customer application received, which I need to update that. It should be ASP application received. And you're just going to check that box to indicate. You can't move forward unless you check this box. If you check this box and you move forward and you don't have the packet, I'm not going to imply anything. I'm just going to say that that's outside of the process, and just know that you have to willfully do that in order to fake fake it, right? Not saying that there's going to be consequences for that, but there could be. Underneath that, there is a ASP type. For your purposes, almost all of them will be ASP. ASPs are the technicians that do our service work, right? So they're the guys that we assign to work orders. The other options that you have here are battery vendor, which is just a battery distributor. It's very rare that you're going to have to add a battery distributor. As a matter of fact, I think we imported all of the battery distributors for you guys. Basically the same thing. They can assign work orders to them, but it's just for purchasing and delivering, or will call batteries. And then other vendor. Other vendor is somebody that you typically would not assign to a work order. It could be logistics vendors. It could be just anything else, post office, whatever kind of vendors that you need. Again, very, very rare. You're probably never going to need it. Just leave it defaulted to ASP. Okay. You're going to put in an account name, and we're just going to do training account sample. You can put a parent account if this is part of another thing, right? So if it's a repair shop that belongs to an OEM or a different different technician, then you can use the parent account. You don't have to. And again, everything else except for company email is not mandatory. So you can put the phone, fax. Company email is mandatory because that is going to link to the technician and to the contact. We'll get into it just a little bit, that the contact is important that the email exists because we send scorecards and we send reports. So we have open report, R&I report, and review report that all go back to this address. Okay. On the technician record, the email is the primary communication email. That's where we send all the work orders to. So they have to have a valid email address, and it has, and you just put that right here, and it'll automatically take care of that for you. So we'll just put in a fake email address. Okay, billing email only if it's different than the company email. Let's say they want their billing reports or whatever going to accounting at sampleemail.net. Then you would put in that. Otherwise, you just leave it blank, and everything will go to this primary. You can or cannot put in a website if you want to. The address is not mandatory. It's not required, but I'm going to tell you that it kind of is, because we have a mapping program, right? And we put those technicians on the map. This address will be transferred to the technician record. And as long as you put it in here, then you don't have to worry about it. Otherwise, you're going to have a technician that's not mappable, and that's not going to do anybody any good. Right? So we just put in the address. The only reason I tell you that is because you can get into a habit of not putting in an address, and if you put the address in at the beginning, all the automation that happens when I click submit new ASP will contain that address, and then you don't have to worry about it again. If you don't, then you're adding work to yourself, because you eventually will have to go back and populate the address with something. Okay, so so there you have it. I've put in all the fields, more than what's required. I would suggest you do that every single time. And then click submit new ASP. Now you notice we didn't do things like labor and travel rates and contact information and all that stuff, because that's not really part of creating the new account. You don't have to have that stuff when you first create the account, but eventually you're going to have it, right? So once I've entered that, I've hit submit new ASP. You can see in your list, there's the account that I just created. We can see that it's active and that it is not yet transmitted. So there are processes that run in the background. When the process runs to transmit this to QuickBooks, so that the account is created in the QuickBooks account, then that will be checked, and you'll know that the process completed successfully. If this goes a day or a couple of hours even and does not get checked, then you know that there's a problem and you should submit a ticket to IT. All right. The account itself is not the only thing that you just created. So because there's automation running in the background, I simplified this, right? All of the standard fields are automatically being populated for you. It's telling Salesforce that this is an ASP account and that it's type ASP. It's automatically setting the payment type to net 30, because that's our default, right? Our default is net 30. If they change, if they say, no, you guys are net 15, first of all, Joan's not going to accept that. But if they do, you could come in here and change that. Or if they say, we'll give you 45 days, you can come in here and change that. That's the accounting terms. You don't necessarily have to worry about it unless it's different than net 30. And typically accounting will take care of that. All right. You can see that there is a contact that's created. It's your HQ contact. If as long as it has an email address, this is ready. You can assign it a user, right? So you can based on the training that we did the other day, you can open that contact and then set them as a partner user, right? I'm not going to do that for the training account, but you know how to do that. The technician. So again, we can see the technician record. Now you can go into the technician record, and as long as you gave it an email address, it's all set and ready to go. You can start assigning work orders to this technician immediately, right? The zip code is there, so it'll plot on the map, and the dispatchers will be able to see it. Okay. Now you can come in here and you can do your labor rates and all your contact information and whatever compliance information. You can do all this stuff after you've actually entered it. Okay. That is the end of the process. Pretty simple, right? So we're basically just given a form, and from that form, we submit, and everything happens kind of automatically. The only thing that doesn't happen automatically is the assignment of the user, right? So you're going to have to create the users when you want them to be on the portal. You're going to have to do that manually. All right. So there we have it. I'm going to go ahead and now open it up, and if you have any questions, I'll try to answer them for you. Right?
I think it was pretty simple, right?
I mean, yeah, the enter the new ASP button.
So
up that
the only thing
form,
that's dummy
I
proof,
mean,
right, is that
okay,
you
it's
have to
not
put in a
completely
name
dummy
and you
proof,
have to put in an
but
email address.
it's good enough
So
for
at
me.
the very
How about that?
least, right, at the very least, you're going to have the primary information. Now here's something to watch out for.
Yeah.
Our contacts have to have a unique email address. So let's say you wanted to put them in as tmazinga@servsolutions.net. It's going to go ahead and create that account and create the contact with your email address. The next time you do it, it's going to say, no, that contact already exists, and you're just going to get an error message, and everything is going to roll back.
Mm-hmm.
Rolling back means it's not going to take. You're going to have to do it all over again. So make sure if you're setting something that you have, that you have a unique email address, even if it's fake.
Right.
Right. You can make sure it's unique. Right. I would not put a fake email address in, because that's gonna roll to the contact and to the technician. And nothing will happen, right? If you put a fake email address, nothing will happen. Salesforce will send an email to that fake email address, and never tell you that it didn't happen, right? Sure. Eventually that email address will bounce, and bounce management will stop sending emails to it. So there's that. If you open this up and you decide, I'm not ready to enter this yet, you can do two things. One, you can just ignore it, right? You can hit cancel this entry and it'll just go back to the beginning, or you can just refresh the page and or navigate to something else and that'll just cancel it. It doesn't hold anything in memory. Yeah. So what else? Yes, sir.
Okay.
I don't think. Well, you're not going to create customer accounts by mistake. So that's good. And that's really the main point here.
I really don't see
you're
how
not
we're going to
you're not going to create fake stuff or wrong account types, and that's really the big part.
Right.
So there are. Are you guys familiar with looking at and working in the leads?
Yeah.
Okay. So leads have a convert process, right? So I'm going to go look at all leads and say,
oh yeah,
this is another way to do this, but I want you to just kind of understand. Oh, I don't have any leads here. So let's just say I created a new lead, and my lead is called,
Okay.
all right. Whatever. Word of mouth. There we go. All right. So now you've got this lead, and you're wanting to create the work order, create the account off of this lead, right? So you've gotten the lead from Gopher, right? That's where the leads come from, for the most part, unless you've created it. If the lead comes in, you've qualified it, right? So we're going to go ahead and make it qualified, right? And then you're going to say, all right, well, I want to make this a
Right.
whatever. You're going to an ASP. So you're going to make sure that it has an address, right? None of this stuff is required. So this is going to be all on you. I'm going to suggest that you don't use this, right? But if it's already here, just this is what you look for, right? So make sure it has an address. Make sure that there's an email address on the lead, right? And that's it. And then you're going to go to the convert. When you click on convert, it's going to give you an option to do something, right? You're going to say it's a record type of ASP, which is correct, right? And then you're going to just leave that and hit convert. And it's going to go ahead and convert that lead into an ASP. You're going to have to do a lot of work in the background to kind of fix that, right? So the better thing to do would be to go ahead and enter it in through the process I just showed you, then come to the lead and say choose existing. And this way, we can pick the account that we just set up, right? And then we're going to just choose the existing contact, right? And we're not going to create anything new. We're just going to convert this lead into that account that we just created. You understand what I'm doing here? Okay. And then all that's going to do is that's going to link these two things together. All right.
Yeah.
It's also going to make Terry or Jeff, it's going to make you the owner. So if whoever enters it, you're going to be the owner of that account.
Got it.
That's absolutely fine. So you don't need to really worry about anybody else getting your stuff. Good stuff. So was it really that easy? Are we good to go? Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It really is that easy, man. Because
it really is.
Right.
I mean, the key to it is if we follow what we already know is the process.
Well, you just need to send it. You just need to send the email. As soon as you send the email, you can enter it in.
Process. We don't try to start up a new account.
You don't have to wait for anything back. It's not customer. It's not like they have to run
go to Jones team before we can actually make them live.
As soon as you have all,
then it's a matter of
W-9, right? You guys have a W-9. Just make sure it has a W-9, and you put it over, and then you can pretty much enter it at any time.
Yeah,
I don't even think they need the rest of that.
Right.
I think we send them the rest of that packet just so that all the paperwork stays together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. COI. I forgot about that. But yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So when you're, yeah. Now, if you want to, I can include that on the form, but that's, the COI information. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
W-9 and the COI, that's really the only prerequisites there.
Good. Fantastic. So I tried to make it just as easy as possible. You don't have to go anywhere else. You go right to, now you're not going to be able to do this from any other app. Okay. So if you're in, if you're in the dispatch app, you're not going to have I don't know if you spend any time there, but if you go into the dispatch app, it's not going to be
Yeah,
there.
no, I appreciate that. You did.
That's right.
Gotcha.
No
Right.
bug spray.
No,
I'm gonna go ahead and end this before it gets
no. That's
before it
like
gets
just going into the
embarrassing.
jungle
I'm
without,
gonna stop the
any
recording
bug spray.
uh,
No,
as
you
soon
just
as
don't
I
want to do
figure
it.
out how to do
Just
it.
don't want to
There
do
we
it.
go.
Yeah, no bug spray, man. What was I thinking? What was I thinking? All right, all right, man.